Good morning. So, last time we were here, we got our virtual mouse cursor wired up. We can still move the player around with the arrow keys. And we can drag the player around with the mouse. Left click on the player, move him around the screen, release, and releasing doesn't seem to be actually releasing the player, but we'll come back around to that bug later. Today, I want to get the font system set up so that we can begin writing some text to the screen, maybe build some little user interface bits. So, we have a set of printable characters here at the bottom: letters, numbers, symbols. It's not the full set. We only have the uppercase letters, so we're going to have to account for that. We are able to select the tiles out of here easily enough. It's how we selected the mouse cursor out of the tile set. You just have to know where it is in the tile set. This is like X is 0, Y is 29, 29th row down. So let's build a little font class. And I think I am going to go back to the Java code. We're basing it all off of this guy here. I don't need render frame yet. Let's see, it takes title, X is 2 Y's. I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of that function is yet, so I'm going to skip it. Let's see how quick we can knock this out. Got a font class, a private string of characters that represents all the available characters to our font. I wonder why it has that blank line at the bottom. Let's leave that there in case it matters. And don't need all those bits. Okay, so that's just the extra spaces at the end there represent these blank spaces at the end of the row. And same here, it's got some blank spaces that match up with these blank spaces. I don't know why it has an empty string at the beginning and end. I'm guessing it's just to line things up visually, but I don't know. I'm gonna leave it in case it ends up mattering. So we got our message. We don't need the screen we're writing to. There's only one screen. X, Y, color. Convert it to uppercase. That makes sense. Gotta label our parameters if we want IntelliSense. On the color, I think that has to be, let me think. Let's see how that's used in the Java code. Yeah, it's an array of colors. We're using these arrays of colors so often, we might need another type to represent them. JavaScriptify our for loop. Is JavaScriptify a word? It is now. And then we need to draw the thing. Oh, the screen represents the tile set. How do I want to handle that? I think I'm going to throw it into the constructor. Oh, do I want to? Do I want to have a single global tile set that everything refers to? Or do I want to throw the tile set into the every constructor? This is the kind of decision that can come back to bite you later. I think I'm going to throw the tile set into the constructor. Tile. The tile index is that first parameter, I think. Tile index x, y, colors. I think that's a bit flag if you wanted to be able to flip the tile horizontally or vertically, which we have not implemented yet. I think we just need to do this. And we're calling all these functions render. Render player, render mouse cursor, let's render text. Which makes me think we need to rename this to render tile. I like to be consistent. Wonder where all that broke. And you don't need render tile in tile set because it's obvious if you're calling render in the tile set class, you're rendering a tile. That should be fine. So we have a font. Let's see if it works. Create our font in our render function. On render frame, render. And what color should we render? And I think we actually need to do this. Oh, what color should I make our text? Let's make it, let's see, red, green, blue is 0. That should make it yellow. Let's see if it works. Oh, what did I forget? I is not defined. That. I forgot that. Well, it didn't crash. That's something. It also didn't write anything. X plus I times 8. Oh, the parameters are not arranged correctly. Because this appears to be the tile index, XY color. There it is! Ta-da! Hello world! So that's cool. Now, let's try to make a label. We're going to make some basic UI elements. The first one we're going to make is a label. First, we need to get the font out of the way. Make sure that still works. I need to remember that I don't need to keep like closing this and rerunning it. This is JavaScript, not C++. You can do a force reload when you change the code, and it'll reload everything from disk. Overt position is not a function. Oh, I wonder if that's why my clickers were misbehaving. Convert. Interesting. System display overt function. Where's that coming from? It's in the mouse up. There we go. I wonder if that will fix our dragging problem. Reload. There we go. And now we can drag the player around and he releases properly. Cool. So we're going to make a couple of changes. One is I want a sprites array. And I want a UI element array. Yeah, we'll do it like this for now. So the UI elements need to update and render. Where did I put that sprite class? Okay, so that does take a delta time. That's what we're going to do. Both these sprites need to get stuffed into the sprites array. And our render function all of our sprites in a loop like this, because we're going to add a lot more sprites. That's the goal. And same thing down here. And then we're doing the same thing with our UI elements. Oh, that does raise a small problem though, because the mouse cursor is a sprite that is going to be rendered sprite should be rendered underneath the UI elements, but the mouse cursor should be rendered on top. So it's a funny problem. I'm actually going to pull the mouse cursor out of the sprites array and just render it as its own thing. Make sure that still works. Delta time is not defined. No, it's not defined. Maybe I should define it. There you go. Now you're defined. And everything still works. Now let's make a label. Oh, it has a suggestion for me. Do I want to do that? It's not a bad suggestion. There's a couple of weaknesses that we will cover in just a minute, but let's go ahead and use this. What we are going to do, instead of printing hello world directly to the screen, we are going to create a UI element for it. Like that. And let the UI element handle rendering to the screen. And it still prints, so that's good. So let's make this a little bit more useful. Default that to white. So it's a property, which means you can change it at runtime. The text. So, the thing is, I want the text to be able to be either a string or a function. The problem is, I want to be able to do this. Let me think. You put this in a function because every time it renders, you want it to reprocess that statement. Go pull in the player's X and Y position and use that to generate your text. So that's like you're binding the label directly to the player's data. but how to handle that with JavaScript. Two uppercases, not, well, of course that's not going to work because message is a function. So, say that we create this function a. Let me think, how do we tell programmatically that a is not a string? Let's ask Google. Type of operator returns a string. It indicates the type of the unevaluated operand. Okay, let's try that. Type of a returns the word function. Okay. It's a number. You can do a toString. You can also do a toString on a string variable. It's a little bit redundant, but it works. Okay, that gives me an idea. What we will do... if type of this.text is function, then call the function, store that in your text variable. Otherwise, text equals text.toString. What if text is null? Do that. This question mark operator means that if text is to only call toString if the text variable is not null. So we do that. Is that enough? Some chance that, well, we don't know what type of thing text will return. If it returns a function, then it's just being mean. But we can do this to make it a little safer. And then if it still returns null, replace it with the string null. And we don't need to do that in both branches there. We can do it down here. And we can actually clip that part off too. Do that. Alright, so if that works, then our label should be updating with the player's position as we move around the screen. Let's see if that's what it does. We got the player's initial position, and woo! Look at those floating point numbers. Let's go ahead and fix that right quick. Oh, it works, it works. That makes me happy. And I think that is probably enough for this video. I'd still like to be able to make a button element. I think we can do that on the next episode. We're going to have to create a couple new tiles to add to our tile set. And once that's done, we'll be able to, I don't know, might be able to get into the animating our player a little bit. So, thanks for joining me, and hope you come back soon. Later.